What's going on YouTube? It is Repulse, back another video. In today's video, we have another Chelsea news video, as you can tell. Um, I'm a little bit under the weather, but this is probably the biggest news video I have ever done for Chelsea. Probably the longest as well, so you're going to want to stay tuned throughout the entire thing because and talk on a multitude of players as well as their situations. So you're going to want to stay tuned throughout all of it. There's so much news to cover. I think this is going to be like a 30 or 40-minute news video. So, you're just going to have to strap in, get some popcorn, buckle up because we have a lot to talk about. So let's just jump straight into it. Talking about Nicholas Jackson and Nkunku, Fabrizio says that there are things happening behind the scenes for both Nkunku and Jackson. This was yesterday. Today's video is a whole combination of what happened yesterday as well as today. But there are things happening behind the scenes for Nkunku and Jackson. And then Florian Plettenberg said today, I understand Chelsea and Milan, yes, new club, AC Milan, have negotiated again in the past hours regarding Christopher Nkunku. There have been many positive developments. Talks over a permanent deal are ongoing. At the same time, Nicholas Jackson is now close to a loan move to FC Bayern, as exclusively revealed tonight. Milan are reportedly open to paying 30 million euros for Nkunku, according to Fabrizio Romano. So you can see, new club for Nkunku is AC Milan. We'll talk about that a lot in this video, as well as Nicholas Jackson being potentially close to a move to SC Bayern Munich, which obviously we know these two players open up the doors for Garnacho and Xavi to come through the door. And we also have a brand new fresh link that we are talking about in this video, so you're going to want to stay tuned for that as well. So much to cover. So yeah, I'm going to, be talking for a while here, so you're going to hear my voice a lot, but there's a lot of news to get through, so let's continue on. Yesterday, Fabrizio said that Aston Villa are very keen on Nkunku, but then today says with an exclusive that AC Milan made contact to explore a deal for Christopher Nkunku among attacking options. Milan are in active talks for new signings up front, and Nkunku has been discussed in the recent hours. Player open to leave Chelsea in the final days. And then he says more on the AC Milan and Nkunku exclusive story. Negotiations with Chelsea are underway for permanent deal, not loan. Talks about the fee. I do want to touch on this because this is very important. Obviously, Nkunku going out for a permanent deal means that Nicholas Jackson is allowed to go out on loan. After Ansel Mina was loaned at the Borussia Dortmund, we now only have one international loan spot, so that means Nkunku and Jackson both can't go out on loan internationally. So Nkunku going out on a permanent deal means that Jackson does have the ability to go out on a loan with an obligation to buy, or just straight loan, or a loan with an option to buy. Any of those three, Nicholas Jackson is now allowed to leave on if Nkunku does head off to AC Milan permanently. But Nkunku is keen on joining Milan. Obviously, he's just keen on leaving Chelsea. So any big club that does come in for him that seems appealing to him, he's going to be keen on. And the reason why AC Milan are in for him is that the Conrad Harder deal blocked since Monday as Sporting changed conditions. It was never done. And then he says Christopher Nkunku and AC Milan deal progressing as personal terms are not an issue, so they may be agreed upon already. AC Milan probably already made their pitch to Christopher Nkunku. Dived in today. Seems like the deal is going to be done sometime soon. Nkunku wants AC Milan, and talks over contract are well advanced. Chelsea and AC Milan are discussing about transfer fees, surely in excess of reported 30 million euros. More soon on exclusive news. So higher than 30 million euros that Florian Plettenberg said is what's being negotiated on from. Chelsea and AC Milan's standpoint, I think it's going to be around 30 million pounds actually instead of 30 million euros, but more. Santi J, who's very reliable when it comes to Chelsea news, says that contractual agreement nearly reached between Christopher Nkunku and AC Milan. It's a contract until June 2030, excuse me. AC Milan are preparing an offer between 30 and 40 million euros per Fabrizio Romano. Leipzig and Aston Villa want to propose a permanent transfer. Chelsea has refused a loan offer with mandatory purchase option from Bayern, who might come back with a bid, um, which I think surprised a lot of Chelsea fans because obviously Bayern Munich were the ones that say we're not going for any players the rest of the summer transfer window. Directors, you're going to have to negotiate with only loan deals. We're not doing anything permanently. We're not making any transfer bids. We're only making loan bids. But they may potentially come back. So they kind of showed their hand here on the Nicholas Jackson deal too, because apparently now they can come back and sign players permanently. So maybe they do something on the Nicholas Jackson front as well. But Leipzig now have money too, out of nowhere. We know they had the Sheshko money, but now they're willing to cough it up now that another club is coming in for him permanently, as well as Aston Villa. So, you know, it's funny what happens when a club does come in for, the terms that you want. The other clubs start to budge on their standpoints and just give in to what you want as well. So, thank you, AC Milan. I know you're pretty much our B team at this point. Can't thank y'all enough for coming in for Nkunku because now Leipzig, Aston Villa, and Bayern Munich may all come in for bids with Nkunku or for Nkunku. So gonna be a big bidding war. And highest bid wins seems like, but seems like this deal could also be wrapped up with AC Milan pretty shortly. So Matt Timoretto says that the talks for Nkunku at Milan are progressing positively. The parties expect to reach a total agreement in the next few hours. For Nkunku, a 5-year contract is ready. And then Fabrizio says Nkunku details Chelsea starting request to AC Milan was around 34.5 million pounds plus add-ons. Milan want to offer something around 25.8 million pounds plus add-ons. Very concrete negotiation ongoing. And then follows that up saying Milan are very confident they can find an agreement with Chelsea. So um, somewhere in between these price tags are what the Nkunku deal is going to end at. Obviously, they want 40 million euros, which is, I think, in between this price range that AC Milan requested and Chelsea requested. So something in between. I think maybe 30 plus add-ons is where we're going to settle, or 28 plus add-ons. I think the total package is going to be around 35 million pounds, which is around 40 million euros. So keep an eye out on that. It seems like Nkunku is headed to AC Milan pretty imminently, so maybe we get the here we go by tomorrow morning. Don't know yet, but definitely be up for that. If there is a here we go, then there will be a video out as soon as I can make it. I do have a lot going on tomorrow, so it may be a little difficult to make it, but um, definitely going to try, at the very least, to make a video on the situation of Nkunku. Um, Now on Nicholas Jackson, sorry, I just completely blanked. Nicholas Jackson's agent spoke yesterday saying that 30 goals in 2 seasons without a single penalty, highs, lows, but a page is turning at the Blues. Always grateful for yesterday, but already looking toward tomorrow with optimism. Germany, Germany, Italy, England. The options are numerous. The decision is imminent. Thank you for the support. We see your message. Nicholas Jackson transfer expected within 48 hours, inshallah. Um, and then shortly after that, this was yesterday, Rahman Osman came out with an exclusive that there's now an agreement between Nicholas Jackson and Bayern Munich. Bayern just need to agree with Chelsea. Both parties want to get it done. Jackson's agent in London to finalize transfer. Yeah, so this was a little bizarre. You can tell that they kind of just came out and said that there's a transfer happening for Nicholas Jackson in the next 48 hours, and spoke on his situation. But apparently, Diamanzi Kamara is not his agent, just someone that is very close to Nicholas Jackson. But Kieran Gill says that for your information, Nicholas Jackson can't say the quotes per- purported to be from Diomanzi Kamara are fake, but then there was a screenshot that showed no, these comments were actually real. So don't know why his camp came out and said that when there was literally a screenshot of it being real. It was posted on Instagram by Diomanzi Kamara. Obviously, that is not Nicholas Jackson's agent, but it is someone that's very close to Nicholas Jackson and probably understands his situation. But yeah, I mean, seems like the transfer is expected within 48 hours. We got more on that today. Um, Fabrizio last night said that Roma director has arrived in London to negotiate with Chelsea for Tyree George. Not important to this segment. We'll talk about that later in the video. But he says also in this that meanwhile Bayern have entered strong for Jackson, negotiating over salary and formula. And then this morning said that FC Bayern are again today in direct club-to-club talks with Chelsea for Nico Jackson. Discussions about formula of the deal, as Chelsea has one international loan spot left, and it has to be, and it has to include obligation to buy. Nothing done so far, player/club side, but Bayern keep insisting. And then on Fabrizio's here we go meter, Jackson to Bayern 55% chance. There's still an issue with the formula. Bayern say loan only. Keep an eye on English clubs still. And then he also spoke on Garnacho. He said there's a 90% chance of happening. Chelsea have submitted a 35 million pound plus add-ons reaching 40 million pound package for Garnacho. We'll talk about that later in the video. But on Jackson, 55% chance issue with the formula. Bayern only want a loan, and the English clubs are potentially making a move for him. But then Florian Plettenberg a couple of hours ago dropped an exclusive saying that Nicholas Jackson is set for a loan to FC Bayern. Advanced negotiations with Chelsea. Bayern will cover the full salary. Jackson and Bayern are now 100% in agreement, but some details still need to be clarified. Max Eberl working on it. And then Florian Plettenberg said that Bayern are working on the final details. If it will be a loan if it will be option or obligation. Jackson's ability to play 9 behind the striker and his mentality have been highlighted. Jackson is definitely expected to join Bayern. And then Fabrizio tonight said, shortly after Florian Plettenberg said those words, that in his YouTube video, Chelsea are waiting to see what happens in the Isak saga with Liverpool before deciding what they want to do with Nicholas Jackson. Chelsea want to make sure they don't have any better opportunities before saying, okay, you can go on loan to Bayern. So you can see here that Bayern are likely in with a loan with an option or obligation to buy for Nicholas Jackson. Still trying to figure out that with Chelsea, obviously, and then maybe there's a here we go there. Seems like Chelsea are, excuse me, where are we? Here. You just got a very big sneak peek, but seems like Chelsea are here, wanting to, see what happens with the Isak saga. Obviously, that means Newcastle may come in permanently for Nicholas Jackson. So they want to see if they can just ship off Nicholas Jackson this year instead of loaning him out with the £10 million loan fee, and then getting the rest of the money next summer. Definitely see Chelsea's approach to this, but it seems like we're looking to see what happens with Newcastle and Liverpool on the Isak saga to see what happens for Nicholas Jackson because they don't want to send him on loan to Bayern if they can just sell him permanently. And then Fabrizio did say this on his Twitter as well. FC Bayern keep pushing to close Nicholas Jackson deal, but there's still nothing agreed with Chelsea as of tonight. Chelsea want to wait till the end of the Alexander Isak saga before picking best option for Jackson. Bayern will insist again in next 24 hours, so maybe they do switch up. Maybe they're offering a loan with an option now. Maybe they switch up with a loan with an obligation, or maybe it's a loan with an obligation and they come in permanently, and that seems like the best option for Chelsea to ship Nicholas Jackson off. So we'll definitely see what Bayern insist with in the next 24 hours, but we do want to keep an eye on the Alexander Isak saga with Liverpool to see what the future of Jackson may hold. So keep an eye out on that. But Nicholas Jackson may head off in the next 24 hours. So we're also going to have to keep an eye on Bayern Munich making a new offer for him. And then yesterday, really, really random, but out of nowhere, David Ornstein with the Bomba said that Chelsea evaluating possibility of move for Fermin Lopez. No contact yet with Barcelona, but Chelsea speaking to the 22-year-old attacking midfielder's camp as options explored in case of exits and given Barcelona depth in Spain international's position. And then more. Ben Jacobs said that Chelsea have added Fermin Lopez to their list of options. €50 million sale is possible, and talks have taken place on the player side. I understand one other UCL club from outside of England also made an approach this week. Chelsea's still assessing whether to move, as David Ornstein called no club-to-club talk yet. And then afterwards, Nisar Kinsella said that the addition of Lopez is a potential alternative option amid active negotiations on multiple fronts. Then um, Gerard Murray or Gerard Romero, excuse me, tongue twister, um, who we know from the Jules Koundé saga, Calma, whatever, said that yes, Chelsea have interest in Fermin Lopez. Bayern are also interested, and then said that if you think the Fermin Lopez to Chelsea rumor is just smoke, you can take a walk, get some fresh air, and ignore this news. It is disrespectful to journalists to keep saying it's a lie, it's smoke. This news has been confirmed by the Athletic. And then Fabrizio spoke on the Fermin Lopez situation, said that Chelsea like Fermin Lopez, but who doesn't like Fermin Lopez? No bid, formal proposals, or anything club to club. Barca and Fermin haven't opened any doors as of now. Chelsea are working on Xavi and Garnacho. These are the priorities. And then Fabrizio said that we have to remember that also only 5 days ago, Fermin said to Barca fans that he wants to stay and to be calm. This wasn't 5 years ago, only 5 days ago. Flick also wants him to stay. No club to club contact as of today. And then Gerard Romero said the information is that Chelsea sent a proposal to Fermin Lopez and he has to make a decision. Tomorrow he will meet Hansi Flick face to face and discuss what he wants to do. There are no club to club talks, but Chelsea made him an offer and there will be more if he decides to leave. And then Fabrizio said today that there was direct contact or last night, excuse me, that direct contact today between Chelsea and Fermin Lopez agent. Chelsea started asking questions: how's it going at Barcelona? How's the contract situation? What's his salary? Would he be open to leaving? No bid so far, but the conversation that happened. And then today said that sources close to Fermin indicate he's seriously considering Chelsea. He needs to decide soon. So yeah, all of this came out within the span of yesterday and today. Obviously, um, Fermin Lopez is a good player. Can play the 10, can play the 8. Very good at close control, and running at defenders. But in the Premier League, you need to be technical. You need to have a head on your shoulders, which he does. I'm not saying he's not a good option. I definitely have him at the club if we can't get Xavi Simons. But um, I think y'all all know my preference would be to get Xavi Simons through the door. Fermin Lopez is a great alternative though. So if we can't get Xavi, I'd be happy with Fermin. I just do think we need someone that is solidified as a 10 to really back up Cole Palmer. We don't know what that groin injury is really going to hold. Nothing serious on the scans, thankfully, but we don't know if he'll play this week. We expect Esteval to most likely play in that 10 spot, or Xavi Simons if Nkunku does head off to AC Milan, which we just talked about. But Fermin Lopez is an option for Chelsea at the €50 million mark, which is around £43.3 million. So keep an eye on that. Going to be very important to see what happens on the Xavi situation to see if we go in for Fermin Lopez. But again, good player that can play the 8, can play the 10, so can provide competition to Enzo Fernandez and Andre Santos, as well as competition to Colt Palmer. If you wanted to play on the left, he potentially could. I don't think that's his best position by any means, but He's good enough at running at defenders that he can play on the left or the right. So yeah, anywhere on that, three behind the striker, he can play as well as the eight. So good player in there. Someone that I definitely take if we do not get Xavi through the door. But my priority would definitely be Xavi Simons. I know people have mixed opinions. I saw it on Twitter a lot. It was like a 70-30 split of Xavi Fermin. Fermin was a 30, Xavi was a 70, obviously, but interested to see why Chelsea fans rate him so highly, at least at 30% of people that I saw. But talking about Xavi Simons, David Ornstein said that if Nkunku does not move to Leipzig, it could prove detrimental to Simons joining Chelsea. And then the Rebel CEO Oliver Mintzlaff on a potential Xavi deal said that there are certainly talks and of course interested parties, but it has to be the right fit for all sides. And if that happens, then it's certainly possible that there could be a departure. And if it doesn't happen, then Xavi Simons will be an RB Leipzig player this season. And then David Ornstein today on the Athletic podcast said that I think the Nkunku one is now linked to Xavi. If Nkunku happens, maybe Siemens goes to Chelsea. If Nkunku doesn't happen to RB Leipzig, then maybe Siemens does not happen. This could be a late one and also plausible nothing happens. And then Matt Law said with a major breaking that Tottenham are holding talks over a pre-deadline bid for Xavi to rival Chelsea. Chelsea are evaluating a move for Lopez, which could open doors for Siemens to Spurs. But then Fabrizio kind of turned this down a little bit, saying that Chelsea remain in advanced talks for Xavi Siemens. On Spurs, they will not send any bid unless Chelsea cannot close a deal with Leipzig. And Nkunku has to leave and is the missing piece. Chelsea remain favorites. Um, yeah, on this, Nkunku's pretty much headed off to AC Milan, it seems like at this point. So as soon as Nkunku leaves, we can expect to hear we go for Xavi shortly after that. We remain in advanced talks. Advanced talks basically means we're still negotiating on the fine details. Xavi Simons is going to be a Chelsea player once Nkunku heads out the door. Nkunku is really advanced with AC Milan, so we can expect him to head out sometime soon. Um, and once that does happen, obviously he's the missing piece. Xavi Simons will become a Chelsea player, and I think that will really satisfy anyone and will be a big, big dopamine rush for everyone once he does head out the door and Xavi Simons does come in. So yeah, we can expect to here we go sometime soon for Nkunku as well as potentially Xavi Simons, which is really exciting to even think about. So definitely keep an eye out on that. But Spurs are in the race for Xavi, but won't set a bid unless Chelsea can't close a deal with Leipzig, which we'll note in the coming days, because obviously the transfer window is done in pretty much 4 days. So there's that. On the situation of Xavi and Garnacho, the Guardian said that Chelsea have a higher desire to bring in a winger, meaning Garnacho is seen as more of a priority than Xavi Simons. And Nkunku needs to find a buyer, or he will stay as a number 10 option for Maresca. And then Fabrizio said that Chelsea want to add Xavi Simons and Garnacho. These are the two players as of now. Garnacho will happen. Xavi waiting for Nkunku to leave and get the green light. I'll tell you here that I'll be here to tell you if Chelsea make an approach for Fermin, not just something in the press. So calm on that one. So you can see that our priorities are Xavi and Garnacho, maybe more Garnacho than Xavi, but it's not that one is the priority of the over the other. It's just Xavi is waiting for the domino piece of Nkunku to fall. For him to come in, and Garnacho isn't really relying on anyone, so that might be why the deal does happen sooner than that. And speaking on Garnacho, yesterday apparently a Saudi club called for Garnacho, and he answered, uh, or it answered, why is he not going Why is he not going Chelsea? I'm guessing that means why is he not going to Chelsea? Can we enter the deal? The answer was thanks, but no, it's not about the money. I want to go to Chelsea. Optimistic to get it done still, excuse me. Um, and then Ben Jacobs said that Chelsea and Manchester United are expected to find a compromise before the end of the week for Garnacho to join Chelsea. And then the Guardian said that Chelsea now want to pay a £35 million fixed fee for Garnacho, but Manchester United want £50 million. They have pointed out to Chelsea that Alenga and Madueke's statistics are inferior to Garnacho's. Chelsea could go up to £40 million, including add-ons, in an attempt to get a deal done. And then Fabrizio said, Garnacho is going to Chelsea. We're just waiting for formal steps, but in my opinion, he's going to Chelsea. And then today, Sam Wallace of The Telegraph said that Manchester United and Chelsea close to an agreement on Alejandro Garnacho for a deal around 35 to 40 million pounds. And then Fabrizio said Chelsea and Man United locked in talks for Alejandro Garnacho's transfer. Chelsea confirmed their proposal worth 35 to 40 million pounds as total package, waiting for Man United's green light. The deal will happen just a matter of time, as Garnacho only wants Chelsea. Here we go soon. And then Fabrizio also said official package now on the table for Manchester United. I always told you Garnacho was going to Chelsea, waiting for the final green light. So you can see here we submitted an official bid for Garnacho. It is up to Manchester United whether they want to accept or decline. Not, but we're waiting for Manchester United's green light. Alejandro Garnacho is waiting for Manchester United's green light too. There's a here we go expected. It seems like it will be somewhere around um, 35 plus 5 to make it a 40 million pound total package. Or maybe we stay at that 35 million pound mark and it's 30 plus 5. Either way, fine deal. We saw Manchester United lose to Grimsby Town today on penalties, so you can see that club is holding everyone back. So maybe there is potential for Alejandro Garnacho to just absolutely kick it here at Chelsea. And if he does reach the potential that we all know he has, then that 40 million pounds is going to look like a steal. Um, so there's that, but yeah, it was just absurd watching that. Grimsby went 2-0 up after 30 minutes. Manchester United were able to equalize, but then lose on penalties. Yeah, that club's falling apart. Amarim's not the right guy for the job. The attackers don't look great. Obviously, Emblemo scored today, but Šeško and Cunha were non existent. Šeško took the 10th penalty, which was bizarre. Cunha missed a penalty, and Emblemo missed a penalty, which were the two that Manchester United missed to lose the penalty shootout. So yeah, glad Alejandro Garnacho is getting out of that, but we're locked in talks. And our proposal is worth 35 to 40 million pounds, likely 35 plus 5 to get the Garnacho deal done, which is way short of Manchester United's 50 million pound valuation. So fair play to Chelsea for not budging on their stance and making Manchester United budge. On Tyreek George, I talked about this quote earlier in the video, but Fabrizio said the Roma director has arrived in London to negotiate with Chelsea for Tyreek George. Um, and then later on that day, he said AS Roma had positive talks with Tyreek George's camp in London today. George can join AS Roma on permanent deal with heavy sell-on clause. Talks are underway. Exclusive story confirmed. Um, and then today, Chelsea informed AS Roma about requests around 30 million euros for Tyreek George with the add-ons and heavy sell-on clause. Clearview is for a permanent deal, no loan, as only one international spot remains. AS Roma budget lower, plus Chelsea also receive approach from two Premier League clubs and German clubs. And then Nisar Kinsella said that Chelsea have alternative clubs interested if George doesn't go to Roma. Expectation is that he would move for about 25 million pounds. So yeah, it seems like Tyreek George may be off to Roma, maybe not. We don't know what their budget is quite yet, but if Roma do have the money, then we fully expect Tyreek George to head to Roma on a permanent basis. That sell-on clause would be around the Carney Chukwuemeka sell-on clause, which is around 30%. And then, the total package would be around 25 million pounds, which is likely to be a 20 plus 5, 17.5 plus 7.5. Somewhere around that mark for Tyreek George to head off to Italy and go to Roma. We know they had the money because that's exactly what they bid for Jadon Sancho. So, we're really not going to show our cards when they've already showed their cards. But yeah, I think Tyreek George does deserve a permanent transfer because I don't think he'll get game time, especially not if Garnacho does come through the door. So, uh, sad to see Tyreek George go. I do think we should have a match clause in that deal. If he does kick it at Roma for us, match the bid that Roma would get for Tyreek George if he was to leave. So keep an eye out on that, see what the clauses in the deal are. But it seems like Tyreek George is headed off to Roma for a total package of 25 million pounds plus a 30% sell-on clause. If the deal is finalized, we'll see what happens on that situation in the coming days. Obviously, it looks great on the book because it is pure profit. And looks great on the UEFA registration as well. But this was the last talking point in the video. I tried to go pretty quickly through it all. As you can see here, it is 50 slides of news. So yeah, so much to cover. I covered it in 23 minutes. I tried to do it quickly for y'all, but I'm sure there's going to be just as much tomorrow as well. So definitely going to be here tomorrow to make another video. But yeah, thank y'all so much if you did stick out to the end. Leave something in the comments if you did stick it out to the end. But thank y'all so much for watching. If you did enjoy this video, as always, please be sure to like, subscribe. Trying to hit 250 subscribers and 300 and 350, so on and so forth until, this channel continues to grow. But thank y'all so much for the support. Last video already hit 200 views, so thank you for that. But yeah, thank y'all for the support. Again, if you did enjoy this video, please be sure to like, subscribe. 23.5-minute news video, so very, very lengthy, but hope you stuck through it. And as always, it's a Repulse, and I'm out. Thanks again for watching. Peace.